Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Today, my friends, we're celebrating Thursday of the 33rd week in the Ordinary Time. And we still continue our reflections on bits and pieces of elements, pointing out towards the end. Towards the end. And in today's Gospel, we hear of Jesus weeping over Jerusalem. Iniyak ka ng Panginoon. No? Kailan umiiyak ang isang tao? When do we mourn? When do we cry? We cry when there is a great loss. Remember, Jesus also wept in another episode of his life when his best friend Lazarus died. When he died, Jesus wept. Now, in the Gospel, we hear of our Lord crying again over Jerusalem. Why? Why did he cry? Because the people of Jerusalem declined the invitation. There was already the presence of the Messiah in their midst, yet they were not able to recognize that presence. That's why he said, these things that he mentioned, which are quite scandalous, no? Medyo scandalous yung mga salita ng Panginoon, no? Pag narinig mo, no? They will encircle you and hem you in on all sides. They will smash you to the ground and your children within you, and they will not leave one stone upon another within you, because you did not recognize the time of your visitation. God has already visited you. God has already chosen you, and God is already with you, yet you fail to recognize that, or properly putting it, you refuse to listen. You refuse to see. You refuse to accept. And the words, the scandalous words of our Lord, are like a prediction of what will happen to them. Because some decades later, the Temple of Jerusalem was destroyed. It was destroyed. They were conquered. And if you look at the history of the Jewish people, hindi lamang yung templo, no, ang nawasak sa kanila. Remember when Jesus was on his way to the cross, and the women of Jerusalem wept. At anong sabi ng Panginoon nung umiiyak yung mga kababaihan ng Jerusalem? Women of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for your children and your children's children. It's pretty much like a prediction telling them, I have already given Jerusalem the chance. I've already given your people the chance. Yet you refused to listen. And so we know what happened to the Jewish people in the time of Hitler. Millions died, killed. And centuries before that event occurred, Jesus wept. Umiyak na ang Panginoon bago pa mangyari yung malaking kawalan. Umiyak na ang Panginoon. If they could have just recognized the presence of Jesus, if they could have just recognized the presence of God in their midst. But sadly and unfortunately, they were distracted. You know, the temple in Jerusalem is the center of the Jewish life. It was the center of everything about the Jewish people. And for many years, they built the temple beautifully, adorned it with jewels and everything of any sort. And in another part of the gospel, we hear of people looking up at the temple. They were so amazed by the temple. That imagery of being taken by amazement at looking at the temple. And Jesus said, maganda, I will destroy the temple. Sabi ng Panginoon. No? And in 3 days, I will rebuild it. Of course, he was talking about the temple of his body. But that imagery of people staring at the temple is an image that impresses the attitude of the Jewish people. They were distracted. They failed to deepen what they were seeing. They failed to meditate what they were seeing. And because they were distracted, they weren't able to recognize, more so accept the presence of Christ. You know, in this time of the year, that could also be a danger for us, for many of us, to be distracted. Some might be distracted by pleasure, and so fail to recognize Jesus in their midst. Some might be distracted by power, and so even if in front of them is an opportunity to recognize Jesus in the needy whom they are helping, they fail to recognize Jesus because they are looking at their power and how to prevent others from taking that power from them. And some might also be distracted by suffering. Suffering can also distract us and hinder us from seeing Jesus. It can lead us towards despair. It can lead us towards hopelessness. It can lead us towards isolating ourselves from the rest of the community. And so, the question for us today is this: what is our temple at this point of our lives? What is your temple? The temple you are staring at. The temple that takes away your mind, your heart away from the Lord. The temple that distracts you. And let us not allow Jesus to weep again. Ngayong alam mo yung mga bagay na pumipigil sa iyo sa pagkilala kay Kristo at ang kanyang gampanin sa iyong buhay, hahayaan mo bang tumangis pa ang Panginoon? Hahayaan mo bang mangyari pa ang katulad na nangyari sa Jerusalem? Jesus will come. Jesus will return. And when He comes back, would He see a child of God in us who has taken care, good care of the temple within?